It's 9 o'clock.
What's this? You know what this is?
This is the Top 9 at 9 Back in Time. Decades with Joe E. Kramer on The River.
All right, we usually do a Top 9 at 9 Back in Time. However, tonight we are doing something a whole lot different. We're going to do the top 25 TV theme songs of the 1980s. Now, this is the decades version. So don't send me emails saying, no, I never saw it. This is my version of it. And I went through a ton of TV theme songs, and I ranked them from 25 to 1. This is my thought. They're all over the internet. Everybody has a different list. So this is strictly my list. And some of these shows I didn't even watch. I just love the TV theme. And I guess that's what it is all about. So here we go. Top 25 TV themes of the 1980s. And we're going to start off with a song that ran on a show that was on NBC from 1982 through 1986. 4 seasons, 90 episodes, and starred none other than David Hasselhoff. Yes. And, of course, KITT, the talking car. Was that great or what? Number 25 of the TV theme songs of the 1980s is the Knight Rider theme.
A shadowy flight into the dangerous world of a man who does not exist. Michael Knight, a young loner on a crusade to champion the cause of the innocent, the helpless, the powerless, in a world of criminals who operate above the law.
TV theme songs of the 1980s.
This is the Top 9 at 9 Back in Time.
The biggest hits, The River.
All right, so we heard number 25. We have 24 more to go. And that brings us up to number 24. Another sitcom about a young girl, Soleil Moon Frye, raised by a foster parent, George Gaines. The show ran on NBC from September 16th, 1984 to May 27th, 1988 on syndications, 4 seasons, 88 episodes, and yes, there is a sequel coming out. This past June, they announced plans for a new Punky Brewster series starring Soleil Moon Frye. The series will revisit Punky as a single mother of 3, trying to get her life back on track when she meets a young girl who reminds her a lot of her at a young age. The series will also feature Sherry Johnson returning to the role named after her, as well as Freddie Prinze Jr. as Punky's ex-husband. And Freddie Prinze hasn't been in things for a while. I believe it's going to be on the Peacock network. So another one of those streaming services you're going to have. If you want to watch it, you're going to have to watch it and pay for it. So that should be coming on in, I think it's debuting this spring or in the summer. So at number 24, Punky Brewster on the top 25 theme songs from the 1980s.
Just a little unkind. Don't know. Seems you can't be sure of anything anymore. Although you may be lonely, and then one day you're smiling again. Every time I turn around, I see the girl who turns my world around.
is the Top 9 at 9 Back in Time. Decades with Joe E. Kramer.
Well, I'm not the kind to kiss and tell, but I've been seen with Farrah. I've never been with anything less than a 9. So fine, I've been on fire with Sally Field, gone past with a girl named Bo, but somehow they just don't end up as mine. It's a death-defying life I lead. I take my chances. I die for living in the movies and TV. But the hardest thing I ever do is watch my leading ladies kiss some other guy while I'm bandaging my knee. I might fall from a tall building, I might roll a brand new car, 'cause I'm the unknown stuntman that made Redford such a star. I've never spent much time in school, but I taught ladies plenty. It's true, I hire my body out for pay. Hey, hey, I've gotten burned over Cheryl Teague's, blown up for Raquel Welch. But when I wind up in the hay, it's only hay. Hey, hey, I might jump an open drawbridge or Tarzan from a vine, 'cause I'm the unknown stuntman that makes Eastwood look so fine.
This is the Top 9 at 9 Back in Time. Decades with Joe E. Kramer.
It is the top 25 TV theme songs of the 1980s. You just heard number 23. He was like a bohunk of the 1970s, 1980s, Lee Majors, starring Lee Majors, Douglas Barr, Heather Thomas were all in it, and it was, of course, The Fall Guy. He was a Hollywood stunt performer, and he moonlighted as a bounty hunter. And it ran for 5 seasons, 113 episodes, November 4th, 1981 to May 2nd, 1986. The Fall Guy. And that was actually Lee Majors singing that song, The Unknown Stuntman. Never became a hit, but, you know, one of my favorites. Top 25 TV theme songs of the 1980s, a special Top 9 at 9 tonight. We are up to number 22. And if you liked the Doozers and the Gorgs and the silly creatures from outer space, and wasn't there a garbage woman? The trash, she was like made of trash, and or is that? Oh, I might be confusing it. Anyway, but they were called the Fraggles. Jim Henson made a children's puppet television series about interconnected societies of Muppet creatures, and it ran on HBO on home box office, 5 seasons, 96 episodes, and I loved every minute of it. At number 22 on the top 25 TV themes of the 1980s is the one and only Fraggle Rock.
Sprocket, old boy, what are you barking at? What do you see?
Get your cares away, worries for another day. Let the music play down at Fraggle Rock.
Attention, doozers.
Work your cares away. Dancing's for another day. Work your cares away. Down at Fraggle Rock. Get your cares away. Worries for another day. Let the music play. Down at Fraggle Rock. Look out! A
Hey, dance your cares away. Worries for another day. Let the music play. Down at Fraggle Rock. Oh, hey, look, there goes a Fraggle.
Come on, let's get out of here.
at Fraggle Rock.
This is the Top 9 at 9 Back in Time.
The biggest hits, the river.
Just a good old boy, never meaning no harm. Beats all you never saw, been in trouble with the law since the day they was born. Straightening the curves, flattening the hills. Someday the mountain might get 'em, but the law never will. Making their way the only way they know how. That's just a little bit more than the law will allow. Just a good old boy, they wouldn't change if they could. Fighting the system like a true modern-day Robin Hood.
Back in Time with this week's Top 9 at 9. Decades with Joe E. Kramer.
It is the top 25 TV theme songs of the 1980s. You just heard the Dukes of Hazzard. Good Old Boys, performed by Waylon Jennings, Tom Wopat, John Schneider, Catherine Bach, Denver Pyle. It was quite the show. You know, it ran into the 80s. Started in the 70s, ran into the 80s. January 26, 1979 to February 8, 1985. A total of 147 episodes. Inspired by the 1970 film Moonrunners, created by Jai Waldron. And, of course, everybody knew the car, the General Lee with the number on it. And it was big. Bo and Luke, everybody loved them. They were the heartthrobs of they were the good old boys in the 1980s. Dukes of Hazzard. At number 21, the top 25 songs of the 1980s, the TV theme songs. The top 25, and we are up to number 20. All I have to say is Laverne DeFazio and Shirley Feeney, and you know exactly what I'm talking about.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, Schlemiel, Schlemazel, Hasenkamp Incorporated.
We're gonna do it. Give us any chance, we'll take it. Read us any rule, we'll break it. We're gonna make our dreams come true. Doing it our way. Nothing's gonna turn us back now. Straight ahead and on the track now. We're gonna make our dreams come true. Doing it our way. There's nothing we won't try. Never heard the word impossible. This time there's no stopping us. We're gonna do it. On your mark and set and go now. Got a dream and we just know now. We're gonna make that dream come true. And we'll do it our way, yes, our way. Make our dreams come true. And we'll do it our way, yes, our way. Make our dreams come true. For me and you.
It's the Top 9 at 9 with Joe E. Kramer on Decades.
All right, top 25 TV theme songs of the 1980s. You just heard Laverne and Shirley, January 27, 1976, May 10th, 1983. But it was right through the 80s, and it was a great theme song. So I had to put it in there. It would have been higher if this was the 70s, obviously. We are up to number 19 on the countdown, which at the time, he was America's dad. At the time, he was Dr. Felix Huxtable. Now he has a number that identifies him on a daily basis. He's making license plates, I guess. But anyway, it was a great show when it ran. It ran from September 20th, 1984 until April 30th, 1992. And 8 seasons, 201 episodes. At number 19 of the greatest theme songs of the 1980s, the television theme songs, is, of course, The Cosby Show.
This is the Top 9 at 9 Back in Time.
The biggest hits, the Flipper.
Back in Time with this week's Top 9 at 9. Decades with Joe E. Kramer.
All right, that is, that was number 18 of the top 25 TV theme songs of the 1980s, the Decades Countdown. It ran from January 4th, 1984 to May 31st, 1982. The Night Shift of the Manhattan Municipal Court with Harry Anderson. Night Court, of course. Wasn't one of my favorite shows. I didn't see a lot of them, 9 episodes, but I loved the theme song. And it was one of my favorite theme songs, even though I wasn't a big fan of the show. And it winds up at number 18 right here on the top 25 TV theme songs of the 1980s on a special Top 9 at 9 right here on Decades, which brings us up to number 17. This was a sitcom on CBS, ran from January 1875 to July 2nd, 1985, lasting 11 seasons, 253 episodes. Second longest running American series with a primarily African-American cast. We all know George Jefferson, the dry cleaner, and of course, his wife, Wheezy. Of course, talking about the Jeffersons. And it is at number 17 on the top 25 theme songs of the 1980s right here on Decades.
Well, we're moving on up to the side, to a deluxe apartment in the sky. Moving on up to the side. We finally got a piece of the pie. Fish don't fry in the kitchen. Beans don't burn on the grill. Took a whole lot of trying just to get up that hill. Now we're up in the big leagues, getting our turn at bat. As long as we live, it's you and me, baby. There ain't nothing wrong with that. We're moving on up to the side, to a deluxe apartment in the sky. Moving on up to the side. We finally got a piece of the pie.
This is the Top 9 at 9 Back in Time.
The biggest hits, the Flipper.
A new boy in the neighborhood lives downstairs and it's understood. He's there just to take good care of me, like he's one of the family. Charles in charge of our days and our nights. Charles in charge of our wrongs and our rights. And I see I want Charles in charge of me. Charles in charge of our days and our nights. Charles in charge of our wrongs and our rights. And I see I want Charles in charge of me.
It's the Top 9 at 9 with Joe E. Kramer on Decades.
All right, top 25 TV theme songs of the 1980s. You liking it yet? Have you heard your favorite? That is number 16, Charles in Charge, Scott Baio, Willie Ames. We gotta say Willie Ames. Debuted in 1984, aired a total of 126 episodes over 5 seasons. It was one of the first shows to go into syndication, which gave it some extra life. And, of course, I love that Ellen Travolta, who was on Happy Days with Scott Baio, also came up onto Charles in Charge. I love Charles in Charge. I have all those on DVD. I am man enough to admit it. All right, how are we doing so far? You've heard from number 25 to number 16. 25, the Night Raider theme. 24, Punky Brewster. 23, The Fall Guy. 22, Fraggle Rock. 21, Duke the Hazzard. 20, Laverne and Shirley. 19, The Cosby Show. 18, Night Court. 17, The Jeffersons. And you heard number 16, Charles in Charge. So that means we have a lot more to go. So we're going to take a break, and then we're going to come back, and we're going to continue it. We'll get to the number 1 TV theme song of the 1980s. Again, this is according to Decades. I know you have probably different ones, but we'll find out mine coming up. So don't go anywhere. We will continue with the top 25 next, right here on Decades.
Back in time with this week's Top 9 at 9. Decades with Joe E. Kramer.
There's a time for love and a time for living. Take a chance and face the wind. Open road and a road that's hidden. A brand new life around the bend. There were times I lost a dream or two. Found a trail, and at the end was you. There's a path you take and a path not taken. The choice is up to you, my friend. Nights are long, but you might awaken to a brand new life, brand new life, a brand new life around the bend.
This is the Top 9 at 9 Back in Time.
The biggest hits, the river.
It is the top 25 theme songs of the 1980s, the TV theme songs of the 1980s. And we just kicked off the top 15 at number 15. Who's the Boss? Of course, one and only Tony Danza, Judith Light. He was the housekeeper, you know, switching roles here. She was going out to work. He was taking care of the house. Alyssa Milano, Danny Pintiaro was on there. The late Catherine Hellman, who we just lost last year. It was a great show. I watched it. I never missed an episode. It was on ABC September 20th, 1984, April 25th, 1992, and 196 episodes for Who's the Boss, which brings us up to number, I'm losing count here, number 14. This also one of my favorites, and my kids loved it. I have all the episodes on DVD. Ran from March 15, 1977 to September 18th, 1984. The Ropers, Mr. Furley, Jack. I mean, he was living platonically with all these gorgeous girls. Stanley Roper, Helen Roper. Then you, of course, you had the 3 girls on there, too. And it was like, you never knew what was going to happen next. Christy Snow, Janet Wood, Terry. Remember Terry Alden? Do you know the last names? Terry was in there. Of course, at number 14, I'm talking about the one and only Three's Company theme on the top 25 TV theme songs of the 1980s.
Come and knock on our door.
Come and knock on our door.
We've been waiting for you.
We've been waiting for you.
Where the kisses are hers and his. Three's Company too. Come and dance on our floor.
Dance on our floor.
Take a step that is new.
Take a step that is new.
We've a lovable space that needs your face. Three's Company. me too. You'll see that life is a ball again, laughter is calling for you. Down at our rendezvous, Three's Company too. Down at our rendezvous, Three's Company too.
This is the Top 9 at 9 Back in Time. Decades with Joe E. Kramer. This is the Top 9 at 9 Back in Time.
The biggest hits, the Ripper.
All right, Top 9 at 9 Back in Time tonight. A special one, the top 25 TV theme songs of the 1980s. You just heard number 13. I don't have my glasses on. Yeah, as you get old, you need glasses. Miami Vice. I never saw an episode. I really didn't. I've never seen an episode. Don Johnson, Philip Michael Thomas, and I know it was Crockett and Tubbs, but it ran for a long time. My sisters and my mother loved it. And that's all I could really tell you about the show. And they were cops, and we had crazy clothes because of it. Everybody wanted to wear the pastel T-shirts and the white suit jackets and the white pants there for a time. But September 16th, 1984 to January 25th, 1990 was Miami Vice. Top 25 TV theme songs of the 1980s, and we're up to one of my favorites. Ran from September 25th, 82 to May 11th, 1986. Ricky Stanton, who was Ricky Schroeder, arrives at the mansion of the father he has never met to introduce himself, moves in and get to know him better. Edward Stanton III, he had a train going right through his living room. That's all I cared. I was hooked. 116 episodes, and definitely one of my favorite. At number 12 is Silver Spoons.
Here we are, face to face, a couple of silver spoons, hoping to find we're two of a kind. Make it a go, make it grow together. We're gonna find our way together, taking the time each day to learn all about those things you just can't buy.
It's the Top 9 at 9 with Joe E. Kramer on Decades.
Love, exciting and new. Come aboard. We're expecting you and love, life's sweetest reward. Let it flow. It floats back to you. Love boat. Soon we'll be making another run. The love boat promises something for everyone. Set a course for adventure, your mind on a new romance. And love won't hurt anymore. It's an open smile on a friendly shore. It's love. Welcome aboard. It's love.
This is the Top 9 at 9 Back in Time.
The biggest hits, the Clippers.
It is the top 25 TV theme songs of the 1980s. You just heard number 11, The Love Boat. Who didn't like The Love Boat? It was on forever, too. It really was. It ran from May 5th, 1977 to February 27th, 1987 throughout the whole 1980s. They had specials in 86, 87, 1990. They had made-for-TV movies. I mean, Captain Stubing was the bomb. No doubt about it. Gavin McLeod. And he's still, how old is he now? He's 88. Remember Beaver on there? And who was the doc? I can't think of the doctor's name. Captain Beryl Stubing, Dr. Adam Bricker. Then you had Gopher. Oh, sorry, not Beaver. Gopher. I called it Gopher, not Beaver. My bad. So, okay. He was the Love Boat theme. We'll leave it at that. Number 11 on the top 25 TV theme songs of the 1980s, which breaks us into the top 10. And who doesn't like Alan Thicke, Kirk Cameron, Joanna Kearns, Tracy Gold, Jeremy Miller, and Leonardo DiCaprio? From September 1985 to April 25th, 1992, the Seavers were in your living room, 166 episodes. At number 10 is Growing Pains on the top 25 TV theme songs of the 1980s.
Show me that smile again.
Show me that smile.
Don't waste another minute on your crying. We're nowhere near the end.
The best is ready to begin.
Oh, as long as we got each other, we got the world spinning right in our hands, baby, you and me.
We gotta be
The luckiest dreamers who never quit dreaming. As long as we keep on giving, we can take anything that comes our way. Baby, rain or shine, all the time. We got each other, sharing the laughter and love.
Back in Time with this week's Top 9 at 9. Decades with Joe E. Kramer.
Now the world don't move to the beat of just one drum. What might be right for you may not be right for some. A man is born, he's a man of means. Then along come two, they got nothing but the genes. They got different strokes and takes, different strokes and takes, different strokes to move the world. Different strokes and takes, different strokes and takes, different strokes to move the world. Everybody's got a special kind of story. Everybody
is the Top 9 at 9 Back in Time. Decades with Joe E. Kramer.
It is the top 9 at 9. Oh, man. I'm having too much fun with this. I'm still thinking about Gopher and the Beaver for the Love Boat. But anyway, that was number 9. What you talking about, Willis? Of course, Different Strokes. The late Gary Coleman, Conrad Bain, who he passed away a few years ago. He was like 90 years old. Willis, of course, Todd Bridges, the late Dana Plato. It ran on NBC from November 3rd, 78 to May 4th, 1985, and on ABC from September 85 to March of 1986. And it introduced us to, Charlotte Rae, who was Mrs. Garrett, who we'll be talking about again very soon. Different Strokes at number 9 on the Decades TV theme songs, the top 25 of the 1980s, which brings us up to number 8. He found the suit. Mr. William Cat, he tried it on, and all of a sudden, he had all these powers, kind of like a modern-day Superman. Greatest American Hero was at number 8, the top 25 TV theme songs of the 1980s.
Look at what's happened to me. I can't believe it myself. Suddenly I'm up on top of the world. It should have been somebody else. Believe it or not, I'm walking on air. I never thought I could feel so free. Flying away on a wing and a prayer. Who could it be? Believe it or not, it's just me. Just like the light of a new day, hit me from out of the blue, breaking me out of the spell I was in, making all of my wishes come true. Believe it or not, I'm walking on air. I never thought I could feel so free. Flying away on a wing and a prayer. Who could it be? Believe it or not, it's just me.
Back in Time with this week's Top 9 at 9. Decades with Joe E. Kramer.
I bet we've been together for a million years.
And I bet we'll be together for a million more.
Oh, it's like I started breathing on the night we kissed. And I can't remember what I ever did before. What would we do, baby, without us? What would we do, baby, without us? And there ain't no nothing we can't love each other through. What would we do, baby, without us? Sha-la-la-la.
This is the Top 9 at 9 Back in Time. Decades with Joe E. Kramer.
It is Denise Williams and the Mr. Johnny Mathis and the TV theme song Family Ties. Alex P. Keaton, he was huge before he was in Back to the Future. September 82 to 89, and the Keatons, just like the Seavers, in our living room every week, and you gotta love it. Family Ties is at number 7, which brings us up to number 6. Really don't need any introduction. I mean, you had Potsy, you had Ralph, you had Richie, you had Fonzie, you had the Cunninghams. What else did you need? It ran from January of 74 to September of 84. I've seen every episode 100 times, have them on DV. I love it. Without further ado, at number 6, and it would have been higher if it didn't start in the 1970s, is Happy Days. All right, we're having technical difficulties. Let's try this again.
Sunday,
there you
Monday,
go.
happy days. Tuesday, Wednesday, happy days. Thursday, Friday, happy days. The weekend comes, my cycle hums, ready to race to you. These days are all happy and free. These days are all share them with me. Goodbye, gray sky, hello blue. There's nothing can hold me when I hold you. Feels so right, it can't be wrong. Rocking and rolling all week long. Sunday, Monday, happy days. Tuesday, Wednesday, happy days. Thursday, Friday, happy days. Saturday, what a day. Grooving all week with you. These days are all share them with me. These days are all happy and free. These happy days are yours and mine. These happy days are yours and mine. Happy days.
This is the Top 9 at 9 Back in Time. Decades with Joe E. Kramer.
Give me a break, I sure deserve it. It's time I made it to the top. Give me a break, I'm looking forward. Get behind me, pull out every star. I want a happy ending, tired of pretending. Won't let them get the best of me. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Give me a break, the game is survival. Give me a break, and quit my rival. Give me a break, for heaven's sake. What happened to my piece of the cake? Give me a break. Give me a break. Give me a break. Give me a break. Give me a break.
This is the Top 9 at 9 Back in Time. Decades with Joe E. Kramer.
Man, she went too soon. She only 54 years old and she passed away. Nell Carter. How could we forget Nell Carter? She was feisty. NBC for 6 seasons, October 29th, 81 to May 12th, 87, as the housekeeper for a widowed police chief and his 3 daughters. Give me a break. Another one I loved. I've seen every single episode. That is number 5. So now we're going to get on to number 4. Before there was, Law and Orders, all these TV shows with police officers on. Before Live PD, there was Hill Street Blues. It ran from January 81 to May of 87, had a number 1 theme song on the Billboard chart, and it is at number 4 on the top 25 TV theme songs of the 1980s, right here on Decades.
This is the Top 9 at 9 Back in Time. Decades with Joe E. Kramer.
Making your way in the world today takes everything you've got. Taking a break from all your worries sure would help a lot. Wouldn't you like to get away? Sometimes you wanna go where everybody knows your name, and they're always glad you came. You wanna be where you can see our troubles are all the same. You wanna be where everybody knows your name. You wanna go where people know people are all the same. You wanna go where everybody knows your name.
Top 25 TV theme songs of the 1980s. At number 3 is Cheers, 275 episodes, and I could proudly say I only saw about 3 of them. If I was lucky. Wasn't a big fan, but it was huge. Loved the TV theme song was at number 3, which brings us to the runner-up. Who doesn't like the Golden Girls? I think it's all because of Betty White, because everybody loves Betty White. But, I mean, you got Rose Nyland, you got Blanche Devereaux, you got Dorothy Zbornik, who was Dorothy Arthur, obviously, B. Arthur. You got Sophia Getty, who actually was younger than all of them. So you have Dorothy, you have Rose, you have Blanche, and you have Sophia. You have the Golden Girls. And, of course, they were at number 2 on the top 25 TV theme songs of the 1980s.
Thank you for being a friend. Travel down the road and back again. Your heart is true. You're a pal and a confidant. And if you threw a party, invited everyone you knew, you would see the biggest gift would be from me, and the card attached would say, thank you for being a friend.
Oh, we're almost there. The number 2 TV theme song of the 1980s.
This is the Top 9 at 9 Back in Time.
The biggest hits, the River.
And then there was only one. And it is my favorite TV theme song of the 1980s. Why, you might ask? Well, there's a bunch of reasons. There is Blair Warner. There is Tootsie Ramsey. There is Natalie Green. There's Joe, who can't pronounce her last name. There's George Clooney on there. There's Molly Ringwald. Don't know their names on the show, but anyway, Molly Parker, by the way, was the name of Molly Ringwald. And it was George Burnett. And, of course, The Facts of Life with good old Mrs. Garrett. August 1979 to May 1988. A total of 209 episodes. I've seen every episode at least 3 times. Without further ado, the number 1 TV theme song of the 1980s. You ready? The Facts of Life.
You take a good, you take a bad, you take a more, from there you have the facts of life. The facts of life. There's a time you gotta go and show you grow, and now you know about the facts of life. The facts of life. When the world never seems to believe in up to your dreams, but suddenly you find out the facts of life are all about you. All about you. All about you. It takes a lot to get all right. We are learning the facts of life.
Knowing the facts of life.
Learning the facts of life.
Oh, I love it. And there you go. The top 25 TV theme songs of the 1980s from 25 to number 1. Number 1, The Facts of Life. If you missed it, I'll have it up online very soon. Within this week. Decades with JoeEKramer.com. And you can listen to it all over again. We got more Decades coming up. Don't go anywhere. This is Decades on the River, 105 and 103.5.